I was able to I've been able to continue to like push myself forward. Really didn't have any support, so it's easy for me to have given up on myself. Went to college, community college day one, then realized that college wasn't for me at that particular time in life, and I joined the United States Marine Corps. I retired from the United States Marine Corps. I served in two different wars, well, four different wars. I served two tours in Iraq, one in Afghanistan. I've been to Kosovo's in wars as well. Um, then retired from there, and then that's when I went back to school while in the military. And then I started my track into entrepreneurship. And I'll let Joanne introduce herself.
I'm not gonna bore you with all my like past story and all that. I know you're a teacher. I know Miss Marquez put you guys to talk with, for us to speak with you guys, just because I think we have a different story because we're basically, to Vinny's point, we're just two kids from New York City that grew up together. We, we got married pretty young when he was in the Marine Corps, and we've led our lives working with each other, making each other better, pushing each other. We both ended up in corporate America. I did do the college route, did the whole thing like everybody's supposed to. We ended up in corporate America, realizing that, I mean, corporate America has that stigma exactly to it for that reason. It's boring. It's a 9 to 5. It's meeting after meeting. We had an opportunity to become entrepreneurs, and we were still pretty young. And where this was about 8 years ago now, and we had the option presented to us if we would have wanted to come aboard to a partnership in a franchise, a military franchise up here. But that meant that I would have to have left my position as a vice president in a public bank up here, and Vinny left the position of what was the vice president?
A operating officer for the American Red Cross.
So two very well paid, very prestigious title positions that we got. Again, I just two kids just working their way up through the system, try to get it, try to do, to make the money. And then we decided to become entrepreneurs, and that's when our entire lives changed. It just really did. When you work for yourself, when you start putting in that 110% for yourself, work stops being work and it starts being fun, and it starts giving you start putting yourselves in goals. And then that's what's that little touch of entrepreneurship. It makes you realize that it's just so much more than just business. And I think again, I'm leading to why I think we're here. Business is much more than just numbers and spreadsheets and P&Ls. There's a whole humanity side to it. I like to say that even though my husband looks like he's like some strong, mean guy, I'm married to like a Mother Teresa type person because he has the heart of gold. And where I'm going with this is like all the employees that we have. With one company that we have, which is the logistics company, we have over 130 employees. And I can tell you that my husband knows each and every one of them by face. He's gone out of his way to introduce himself. We have stories where I can tell you that he befriends the parents of our employees because we do have rather young employees. We have drivers. We do it's Amazon Logistics is the business that I'm talking about. So we do last mile. Our drivers do all the last the deliveries from Amazon. So we have anyone from 21-year-olds, I mean, through like 65-year-olds. But the 21-year-olds give us a run for our money sometimes because we have to almost teach them how to, be employed, how to come into work on time, the consequences of not doing that. And my husband, like I said, goes as far as befriending the parents in order to make the position work for the employee. I don't think there's a lot of people in the world like that. I think anybody else would just say, okay, I'm done with this person, it's obviously unreliable, and just, wash their hands off of it and fire them and move on. But we have a different take on it. Like we say that as soon as you start working for us in any realm, you become part of our family.
So, any questions so far at all? Nope. Cool. So, yes.
So, you mentioned you're in the Marine Corps. How has your military service shaped the way you run the business?
Good question. So, how my military service shaped my way for today? I tell you that I was an infantry guy by trade. So I was the front line of defense. So in the Marine Corps, being an infantry guy, we're the jack of all trades and masters of none. So we know a little bit of everything and not an expert in anything, right? that helped me with my logistics skills. That really set my mindset thinks differently strategically through how the Marine Corps taught me, right? So, I have my beans, my bullets, and my band-aids that I need in order to accomplish my mission. And I can apply that very much into the civilian sector. Then I have my second part of my career in the Marine Corps. I was a Marine Corps recruiter. So I learned how to market. I learned how to sell myself. I learned how to work with civilian counterparts. And then I learned how to become a chameleon, meaning I can talk to a 17-year-old and I can switch off and I can talk to a 50-year-old, right? I talk to the parents and really painted that picture. So um, in the private sector, I was able to utilize, especially those recruiting skills, really open up the door for me and have made me successful throughout all my tenures right now. So it really helped. It really structured me, um, and it made me a little bit more lethal. I was good in sales, and I'll get to why that's important. But it made me lethal, and it made me look at life a little bit different. And I was able to attack it, and I stood out from my peers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Nope. All right, good. So being a business owner, it's not just like Joanna was saying, just about numbers, right? It's about finding something that the economy needs, right? You got to find a niche, right? That's the first thing, right? Whether it's a product or whether it's an opportunity, right? So COVID gave us an opportunity. COVID gave a lot of young entrepreneurs an opportunity to be influencers, right? That was an opportunity that was presented. COVID gave me the opportunity to really capitalize on that last mile, right? Now everybody's so accustomed from the last 4 years to receiving product quicker, faster, and to your door, right? Just by a click of a button. This is as an entrepreneur, you need to start thinking about this now. What's important? What's out there? Is there a product that you really want to design? Is there an opportunity that you want to try to seize? And that's what entrepreneurship, that's where it starts from. Um, I really encourage, if business is going to be your passion, then we have a road that's not an easy path, right? Because right now, when you look at everybody in the last 4 years decided that they didn't want to be a tradesman or a tradeswoman. They wanted to get their master's degree. Now everybody has a master's degree. Everybody has a doctrine, right? But what a lot of people are missing in between of all those things are um, experience. There's no experience into it. And one of the things that helped me kind of catapult myself is at a young age, I worked in many different jobs. So I sold hats for a living. I worked at a sneaker store. I even sold Mr. Softy. And those silly jobs helped me understand how the sales process works, right? So we don't realize it at your age, but when you start putting in the work and you start learning it in the school sector on the business side, and you start utilizing those fundamental experiences that you've had, they start to marry, right? And that's what starts to give you that edge against everybody else. Does that make sense to you guys? And then, the next thing is it's staying focused on what's important. So I live my life on a couple of things. I run one of the biggest Toys for Tots campaigns in the country. I'm about giving back. I come from nothing and I had nothing. Now I'm able to say that we've achieved heights that I never thought that I would imagine being in this place. But it all came from giving myself an edge and persevering, right? Taking advantage of everything that you had. So these things nowadays and your mindset, it's about quick, fast, and efficient. You need to have within being quick, fast, and efficient, you guys and ladies need to figure out how to get that experience in between of all that. You have to be able to be patient enough to wait for that right job so that your skills our attributes are really focused on what you want to be successful in. Does that make sense? Right? So with that, that keeps me grounded because now I'm giving back to the folks that helped me get to where I'm at. And I never lose sight of the people. The people is what makes me successful. My drivers, my sellers,
Your staff.
my staff. And I have a saying, I don't chase money, I help people. And by helping people, I make money. And my whole team in one of my businesses, I call them the Bebes kids. And why do I say that? We are just young men and women right from the hood. Half of them don't have an education. Half of them just barely made it through high school. A lot of them come from broken homes. And everybody kind of tossed them to the side. I do it different and Joanna does it different. We embrace them. We educate them. We mentor them. We guide them. So we guide, we teach, we mentor them. We start making them believe in themselves, and no one has ever believed in them. So now that you have people believing in them, what do you think is going to come out of that product, right? It's success. It's a winner. It's someone that's hungry because they see that someone just like them was able to accomplish their goals, and all they had to do was put in the work, right? That's what we teach them. We teach them that you believe in yourself. We teach them that even though we may not be the brightest or the smartest or the fastest, but if you put in the hard work will always outdo everyone else in any platform.
It's a cliche and it's a corny thing, and you guys probably hear it all day long, but it comes from the truth. It's the truth.
And that's the difference, right? So like let's look at big corporations, right? So when you got the Walmarts of the world, Walmart started, right? With a small family-owned business, right? They grew and they grew to the part that they're so gigantic, right? But what happens, what makes them not that desirable any longer, is because they've lost touch with who's important. And the people are important, you're important. And when you look at that and you have your business, you gotta stay grounded to that fundamental foundation. When you forget about the people, you're gonna make decisions that hurts the business. Because once you hurt those employees and you forget about what they're doing for you, and it's all about the cash flow, then it changes the perspective and the work does not come out the same. So questions. I can't be that good. Somebody has to have some good question.
Yeah, he's coming up. He's coming up, so you could see him.
Hi, I'm Brayden.
How you doing?
This is kind of like, it's not exactly related to exactly what you were talking about, but, like with your guys' background and stuff, what kind of prejudices have you guys faced in the business world and in that community, and how have you guys overcome them?
Ooh, that's a good question.
That's a good question.
Which business? Because everyone has,
Eh,
we have stories for every single one,
it,
honestly.
it's I'll be honest. So I'll give you one quick one. We owned a flooring company. I've been in the military. I've traveled all over the world. I live in the city, and I can say I've never ever faced prejudices. I've never had any kind of racism. Never. I didn't have any of it. I was selling some floors to a customer, and right off the back, the gentleman wasn't the nicest. But I was there to do a job, right? I'm there to sell those floors. And he called and kicked my wife out of the house, right? So like that was a double whammy there. I saw red, right? But um people like that, you gotta kind of look at face value, right? They're looking to get something out of me. They're looking to get a reaction to kind of prove what they're trying to say, right? And what we did is I was a professional uh I was a I killed them with kindness, right? And I still did my job and handled it the way that I came. But the lesson that I learned from that is not every customer is a good customer. Not all money is good money. So sometimes what I should have done is I should have fired that customer rather than hired him. So again, when you're staying focused on the cash, you forget about, because if it wasn't me, that was gonna be one of my employees. And if I don't respect that employee enough to fight for him because I'm chasing that dollar like I did to myself, right? The outcome could have been a lot different.
Mhm.
So that's one of those. So being able to decide as an owner, as a businessman, if you really want to work with people like that. And you also, understand the values of the company if it's a company.
And it really honestly is growing into like being professional. Because to his point, a couple 2 decades ago, he would have probably thrown hands. Disrespect was real there. We were professionals, and moving over, we're adults. So I just called the cops. This is the only thing that you can do as an adult. Be going that route. It's just learning about yourself and learning experiences, and sometimes you have to take the prejudices and make them work for you. So it's a little dark to see you all, but the question that you're asking, I'm assuming, are you a minority?
Well, I'm white, but I just was like curious and because like that's not something that I experience as much. So I was like curious about like what your experience
Now,
was.
and in the city is it's crazy. And the city is nuts because you got everybody, right? It's a melting pot of the world, right? New York City is just ridiculous. And my drivers, male, females, both have it, and they have it in different spectrums, right? The females get the catcallings, right? Or they're walking through a project, a public housing, and they, someone tries to grab their hand, right? When a guy now walks through the project, now he's walking through a group of, now it's a difference between grabbing his hand, it's more of being abrasive, right? um so in business, you got to be able to create a segue into those situations, right? So we pivot, we educate them, right? We explain that these things are happening. So when they happen, that employee is a little bit more is better prepared and able to deal with it. And then it's like, again, my biggest phrase is, no matter what we do, we in uniform, we're gonna lose. So right, wrong, or indifferent, we're wrong. Now, what you do is you kill them with kindness. Hey, I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. I apologize. Whatever the case may be. And that has significantly changed the way that they look at my company. So when we're delivering, I have less of those issues and more of just the actual the way the guys or ladies are delivering the packages. So it's helped out. So we've taken it, and then we built a relationship in the community with the law enforcement, with the cops, so that they are aware, hey, Roman Empire Logistics is in Marcy Projects today. They're there from 2 to 6. Keep an eye on that, right? And it's building that. Now I'm building the relationship from community folks with the police folks. So we solving that issue as well. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer your question though?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yes, sir.
My name is Jose. My question is about your ventures. How do you manage to stay grounded in the people? Is that through communication? Is that through transparency? Or what kind of factors come into that?
Can you speak up a little bit and say that again?
So throughout your ventures, how have you managed to stay grounded in the people, like you said? Is that through communication or transparency, or what kind of methods or like strategies go into that?
All right. So how did I stay grounded? How is it by communicating, and how do I transparent, right?
Yeah.
Um, I'm very transparent. I'm what you see is what you get, and I don't sugarcoat anything. Actually, I believe in all for one and one for all. So
Sometimes, because I have to come in behind sometimes, like cleaning up. He's a little too aggressive sometimes.
I first of all, I remind myself that, including me, we are all blue collar workers, right? And one of the things that blue collar workers like to see is, the operation being operated, but also the bosses being part of that operation, right? So I make sure that I still stay in touch with all my team, I'm down there once a week. I go in, I take a route as well. I go out in the middle of the day, and if you did a great job that week and you're the driver of the month, I go in and I'll send you home on an Uber. I'll take your route and then I go finish your route. And I do that for two reasons. One, to win your respect, and two, to say thank you. And then lastly is to find out what troubles you're going through so that I can try to make your routes and your day a little bit better. Right. So
Personally feel that we are as successful as we are because of how he operates with the logistics side of all of our businesses, but especially like I say, pertaining to like our staff. It sounds funny saying staff because we don't call them staff. Even our paperwork, our contractual paperwork says either family or member. Because we just feel like staff is like somebody you just pay, right? And that doesn't really have any connection to you. Where it's completely different. From the time that you start working with us in any company, we have communication tools, like for example, Slack. And we will randomly just send somebody a message saying, hey, hi, like I know you don't know me, like I'm the boss of the company. I know you just started with us, but feel free to, Vinny always puts his cell phone number every single day and says, if you have any questions, call me. Having that open line of communication and being that like grounded on the ground with your business, like I said, I think that helps with being so successful because that open door, I'm telling you, they will call him for every little issue. 90% of the time they're complaining about something that they did wrong and they're trying to get around, circumvent the supervisors or something. But it does two things. It keeps us very connected to all of our staff, our own employees, but also keeps us connected to the business. Because being how we are, having a staff, supervisors on the ground, like Vinny said, we only go in once, or he goes in, I'm admin, so I stay in the back. He goes in maybe once a week, just, to kind of keep, face to face with everybody like that. But in reality, it's just kind of keeping your ears to the ground of what's going on. We're not removed owners. We don't believe in being removed owners because then it's just a paycheck. It's just money coming in.
we become that Walmart mentality, right? And not to say that Walmart's bad, it's just changed, right? When your parents used to go to Walmart, it was that wholesome feel, right? That corner store, that a community feel, right? And now you go in there and you don't know anybody, and there's one line open, and whatever the case may be, right? And that's important. So that's how and I ground myself. And one is like for me, listen, money makes the world go round, but money doesn't drive me. It doesn't define me. And the reason it doesn't define me is because I never had it, so I really don't care for it. But I need it, and I'm gonna make a lot of it. But I'm not gonna sacrifice the people and the folks, because once you do that again, I'll lose connection with them, and then it's just we become obsolete. And then it's also a balance too, right? Because you can't be too good, because and I give you this example in the city. Like sometimes I feel like they don't know how to just deal with nice people. I really have to be like very adamant about how I say it, because if I'm too nice, then they see that weakness in you as well. So you got to have a good balance, and be able to dance on both sides of the dance floor, and be able to communicate that. That makes sense?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Greg, and my question for you is, what are some risks you've taken as a serial entrepreneur?
I got that one. I'll start with that one. So our entrepreneurship journey was crazy. Like I said, Vinny and I were both, C-level suites in corporate America. We were fine, we were 9-to-5ers. So that's all that is. It's a 9-to-5 type job. And then we got the opportunity, like I said, to partner with, it was another Marine to do a franchise. It was a junk removal franchise. Vinny and I we just decided to basically, like we had for the rest, everything else that we've done in our lives, we sat down together. We actually almost talked about it like a business and was like, should we do this? Are we going to put ourselves completely into this and really do this for our family? Because it was both of us. It wasn't like just one person leaving, a salary. It was the two of us leaving a salary. And we had some savings and we just decided to do it. It was fantastic. We freaking killed it, honestly, for the small amount of time that we did it, because I'm going to make a very long story short. But this was our introduction into entrepreneurship. And what Vinny and I did was go balls to the walls, working the business, making the money. We did amazing in sales. deal with the legality and the business in the back end without us really having our fingers on the pulse of that. And what ended up happening is, unfortunately, there is bad people in this world, and this gentleman just happened to he had different agendas. And basically what ended up happening is we had to make a very rash decision and cut our ties with the business because of ethics, actually. And honestly, that was the sole reason, because strictly because of ethics. We were not vibing with how, the company slogan was that we were doing well for the military service personnel, and we did all recycling, where the truth was that the company was doing the opposite of that and not recycling, not doing any of that. And when Vinny and I found out, we had to come to heads. We left the business, like I said, to make a long story short, we left the business, both of us, without a job, 2 kids, mortgage that we had to pay, and in 2 weeks my daughter's quinceañera that we had to pay 100% for. And that ended up just making us realize that the only people that you're really going to work so hard for yourself and really be able to trust and put like effort into everything will be yourselves. So when you become your own entrepreneurs, your own business, you can take that. We learned a lot of lessons in that small time frame. So it was great because we took that and we applied that to our next businesses. But also the most important lesson for us in that one was paying attention to the legality behind it.
And I take and going to, so that was our first time ever that risk, right? Leaving our corporate jobs. But I take a risk every day. Like right now, I'm making a decision, a huge $500,000 decision to buy 10 vehicles without having an outlook for exactly what I'm doing with them, right? I'm hoping that I get some more business, but it's a decision that I'm gonna make. So I'll take that risk. So now the risk is me, am I gonna sit on these vehicles and lose the dollars, or am I gonna put those vehicles to work, and then how fast can I get them to turn, right? Also, in manufacturing, when I do manufacturing, right, we take a risk because I'm not I'm not into fashion and fashion forward in a sense, right? But I'm selling women's leggings and I'm selling dry fit workout shirts, right? So I gotta believe in my wife and the team that they picking the right product, right? It's a risk that you take. But how you make sure that the risk is worth the reward is you reverse engineer everything, right? So you look at what is your end stake, what is it that you want, what you want to come out with, right? So those 10 vehicles, I want to put them on the road. I want to make $1,000 a month off of them, and I'm gonna get paid $2,000. So that'll make me 1,000 to pay the van off and $1,000 in profit, right? That's the goal. So I have to create that plan, but I usually do it from end to beginning. So this is my dollar amount. So if I do that right, 2,000 times 10 every month times 12 times 36, right? Because that's the 3-year finance that I have it. And then I go into building that plan. So there's a risk to that. But again, when you take a strategic risk and you calculate it, right? So there's less of a worry, and I have a backup, right? So I have a couple of different business partners that have vans that use logistics, and if I find myself in a jam that I'm not moving them fast enough, then I'll rent them to them at a price. I won't make the extra $1,000 profit off of it because I'm not gonna make more money off my friends, but at least I'll cover the expense of the vehicle when I'm not losing money. So when you reverse it, that gives you the cause, it gives you the effect, right? And the consequences behind it.
Thank you.
Welcome. Does that answer your question? Did it make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
What else?
You guys just come up here when you're like ready.
Teacher, am I doing a good job?
Oh,
And
yeah,
I haven't said any bad words.
yeah.
I heard it a lot. I did.
I was gonna text you guys too and be like, ooh, let's watch that, yeah.
Okay, hi, my name's John, and my question is, how has the trucking strikes affected your business throughout the years in COVID?
So how has the trucking industry affected our business during COVID? So it killed us on manufacturing. It killed us because they're not making any vans. So the vans that we had to go out and find other resources on getting vans. So which created a supply and demand kind of ordeal, right? So ladies, gentlemen, right? We go back to the beginning. We got to create, there's a need, right? So the trucking business was slowing down. So what ended up happening is a lot of rental companies bought all the inventory they possibly could so that they can rent it out to a lot of these last miles and created that pipeline for us, but also created a lot of inflation. So the money was still the same, right? What we were charging the customer never changed. So then that means that my margins got cut, right? Because I'm paying more for something that I was paying $1,500 for. Now I'm paying $2,500 for. Insurance went up. So that there we go. We created or the world created that supply and demand. So remember that when you have an idea, does that supply meet a demand, or does that product fix an issue? Make sense on that, right? So
Yeah.
Three reasons to go into a business. If there's, to Vinny's point, if you really start thinking about it, like, is there a need for it? So going back to what he said earlier, influencers, there's no need for that. It's not a real business because in a couple of years it'll fade out. Logistics would be a need, like something like a doctor, a nurse, we're always gonna need that. Tradesmen, there's always a need for that. So that's why you see like a lot of like electrician companies, for example, that a lot of mom and pop electrician companies, because there's a need for them and people go into business for themselves.
So what you and for us, like we overcame that, by partnering up with different rental companies. But then it slowed down manufacturing on parts as well. And then it flipped, right? Because then the e-commerce just catapulted to the top and everybody wants it quicker, faster, delivery. So that created a workflow problem. So we bottlenecked on the top. So what ended up happening is Amazon had a lot of these fulfillment centers across the country, and then they saw that everything was being sent to different fulfillment centers, and that created bottlenecks. So what they ended up doing is regionalizing more fulfillment centers so that locally it takes less touches to get to you. So for instance, if I wanted to sell a product in New York, I would have to send that product to the Amazon fulfillment station in New York, which was a nice way of pivoting from the market, from everything that was happening, all the bottlenecks, and that's what's helped Amazon really become really strong, is that they will quickly be able to pivot and create a new line of delivery and create that functionality to get that 2-day last mile. Make sense?
Yes.
In business, you have to take the obstacle and make it work. So the issues that we had, we couldn't get vans, so we rented them out. That was like our cause and effect to it.
I know that this is still going to be an issue because, for instance, I use Amazon again as an example, but Amazon wants to be all electric by 2025 or 2026, right? So they're not going to be able to have a full-fledged fleet operating. They're still going to have vehicles that need, fuel. So then I'm buying up so that way I can rent them to myself when the time needs for some of the shortages. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. All right, thank you.
Anyone else? You good? Excuse me.
You guys, the next person that's talking after him can stand behind him so that we can mute it along.
Hi, my name's Alex. And my question to you guys is, what has been the biggest obstacle you guys had to face when running multiple different businesses?
People. People could be great. People could be headaches. People could be nasty. People could be straight out just don't care. It's the people aspect of it. So one of the things that I'm trying to learn is to create a business that I don't really need people. Uh, um, real talk, like it is like it's it's hard to get someone, right? Your parents raised you one way. I was raised a total different way. Who's to say that my way is the right way? And I'm trying to get you to be, part of me. But again, it's humanity playing a part, right? Don't lose sight of who the people are. And they don't have to conform to you. You should conform to them because there's a happy medium in there somewhere. We just have to figure it out. But if we expect everybody to be like us, we're gonna fail real fast because it's hard to just tell somebody to be like me. I could be great. I could be not so great. And
To be honest with you guys, my husband yells at staffs all day long. And I say yell. As you can see, he's very loud. He's very boisterous with his personality. Yes, you are. Felicia, he's giving me the look. You see him? My husband is not. He is very boisterous in that way. And it comes from passion. It always comes from a good place. You know what I mean? Even like when he's having heart to hearts, if you will, with like, let's say the supervisors and they're just screwing up left and right. It comes from a good place because he wants them to do better. Also, when you're surrounding yourself in business, when you want people to be smarter than you. That's why you hire them. Like we always say, we hire people who are smarter than us. I don't need you to be like the same level as me. I want you to surpass me. I want you to come with solutions. I don't want to be the person that's going to fix all the problems because then I'm working in the business. So that's why he's saying the hardest obstacle is really finding people who put themselves with common sense, first of all. Common
See,
sense is not
point made, right? I have to sit here and endure her talking negative about me while in front of you all. And I was calm, I was cool, I was collective, right? Like, see, it works, right? Like
So side note, finding your partner, like a business partner that works, that you work, that you work, that has to be your yin and yang, because that's how this works. We do have so many businesses. It is chaotic. We have two kids. We have a 17-year-old and a 20-year-old. One's pre-med, one's obviously in senior high school. So there's a lot going on with our lives. But what makes everything work is that we are business partners and we treat everything like in a sense like a business. You know, I have my lane, he has his lane. I have my responsibilities, he has his responsibilities. And at the end of the day, especially because we're obviously, married, if I don't do my end, then it affects him. Same thing. If he doesn't do his end, it affects us. And then it trickles down to our entire family, our families, our staff. I have certain family members that are employed under us as well, just to we share the wealth, make it work for everybody.
but the people is going to be your toughest challenge through any industry. But don't be afraid of people. It's just, again, you got to be that chameleon. And yes, I am aggressive, yes, I yell, but when I do yell, they don't take it personal because they know that it's like your mom and your dad yelling at you because you care. Like, my guys did something that was absolutely positively stupid the other day. And I, like, please forgive me. They could have affected our business. And literally I just had to say, like, I have no other words other than, like, this was the stupidest thing I've ever seen you guys do, right? And because they appreciate my honesty, like, that hurt them because it wasn't about letting the business down. They let me down because they know that I rocked for them hard and really uplift them. So that's why when you can get away with that if it comes from a good place, right? But if I'm just like the Jetsons, right? The guy that runs the warehouse, he's constantly just yelling at everybody and just being a complete meaner, then I'm not gonna get anywhere. But in this side is I focused on the people, the hardest part of it, and then I made them believe in themselves.
Thank
Do
you.
any of you watch the Jetsons? Because no, right? You all just
Somebody knows the Jetsons here? Nobody knows the Jetsons? Thank you. All right, somebody. Damn, I know I'm old, but I ain't that old. I'm old.
I'm not.
Hi, I'm Camden, and I was kind of on the same topic, but with you having a variety of different companies, how do you keep yourself from being spread too thin and giving each company and each person the attention that they deserve?
Great question. So I use a phrase of the octopus effect. So it's like Jay said, it's I grab the team that I'm gonna build, right? And then I start molding them and getting them, but I also believe in them to the point that you're gonna go and you're gonna run that business. And then we create. I don't hire anybody to be a supervisor or a manager that has not worked in that particular business. Period. Point blank. And
Part of all of our paperwork, we only promote from within.
that's our culture, right? So like, I don't hire somebody that did the logistics for some trucking company and comes to me, and then they're gonna tell my team what to do. It's important for them to see that there's some growth opportunity. So that gives them that option. And what I do is I create these buckets of folks, and then I have my vice president of operations, I have my vice president of human resources, and then we have what we call Slack, which is just like an intranet kind of deal that we have. And every day I give each job its own little attention. So right now we're working on a project in Puerto Rico and Miami. So every morning at 8 o'clock, I'm on a scrub call with them, but I'm also prepping a new team that I'm building so that they can take over that. And then I only communicate with the heads of those departments, so that the flow of information never stops. And I'm able to give them a good amount of my attention, and they're able to reach me however. And that's one of the things that has helped us, because the whole team is very, very well vested in it, and everybody knew what they were doing prior to starting that evolution. So what I did is I'm taking a bunch of my New York folks and I'm moving them to Puerto Rico and Miami. I don't start from fresh, brand new. I don't know anything. So now I got those folks, new opportunity for them and their families. They have a lot to gain and a lot to lose, right? They just moved to a new country, a new place. That's how I do it.
Okay, yeah.
And he's very transparent with our management staff, like the team that he's talking about, that we've elevated and moved forward. And he's always had this vision for them. I knew that we were going to be growing businesses and we would want them to expand with us, because again, it comes down to the staff, people you surround yourself with. Our top management staff, we do everything possible for them, just because we know that you can't replicate that. And you can't replicate loyalty at the way that with certain people that, when you bond that relationship with. So as we grow, as we get bigger, we take them with us.
Our right hand man is a 4.5 year Lebanese guy that's been in this country 4.5 years. 4.5 years in this country. He didn't speak English. When we hired him, he was an Uber Eats driver. He was delivering Uber Eats. He interviewed with this one, and she didn't like him.
We weren't doing
She didn't like him, and he was the way he articulated himself was harsh, right? Because he didn't really know English, so he said all the wrong things. He was like, "Listen, I'm not gonna be a driver for you forever. I'm not driving for you Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, because those are my Uber Eats days. And Mondays is my rest day, so I could work Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday." Like, yes, that was harsh the way he said it, but I at that point I needed somebody, so I checked. He had a pulse, he had a license. I didn't care what he spoke. Fast forward 4.5 years, that's my right hand man. He runs over $12 million of businesses. We opened his own business, and now he speaks English very well. He's his own entrepreneur, and he's our right hand man, right? So like, that's how you shape it, and it still breeds success for you through that process, because he still won't he still works for me even though he has his own business.
Okay,
Cool.
thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
I'm so sorry, you guys. I see part of running so many businesses. I actually have to excuse myself. I have another meeting that I can't push back. But Vinny will stay here answering any questions. Nice meeting you
Okay.
guys.
See ya.
Good, you guys got me by yourselves. See, I don't get yelled at.
Hello, I'm Hunter, and you were talking about how Amazon changes and pivots its goals, and I was wondering how you keep up with them.
Keeping up. So Amazon has a I guess a saying. They flying the plane as they're building the plane. So they pivot very, very, very fast. I started with me, or I started with them in 2019, and nothing has ever been the same. Anytime, every 3 months, 4 months, something changes, and they like to change things sometimes that don't need to be changed. And one thing that I stopped is I started off trying to fight a 5,000 pound gorilla, right? That's what I look at Amazon as, a 5,000 pound gorilla. I can't win with a 5,000 pound gorilla. It doesn't matter what I'm gonna do. So what I did is I made myself more adaptable, and then I made myself more flexible. So what did I do? So I created a 8 hour route, and I created a 9 hour route, and then we have a 10 hour route. So what I do is I keep an influx of 8 hour workers that cover, you know, call outs, whatever the case may be, but keeps me fat and healthy on the back end. Then I got extra vehicles so I can pivot in any direction. So I can go from running 75 trucks on Monday to running 100 trucks on Tuesday with that model. So I guess the long answer or the short answer would be it's just you got to be adaptable and flexible, especially in the logistics and entrepreneurial world, right? Because it doesn't matter whether you're selling cakes, you're selling donuts, or you're running or you're delivering packages. The customer is gonna dictate the demand, right? So you got to figure out how to sustain that supply, but there's always gonna be that point where the business goes down, right? So for us, summertime, so January, February, March, April is when people just blew all their money from Christmas and they're not buying so many packages. So my routes get a little bit smaller, but I still don't lose my folks because I know that they're gonna have a prime week and so on and so forth. So I prepare for it, but then what I do is I use them in some of my other businesses as well. So I'm able to give them opportunity elsewhere rather than just giving them laying them off after a certain period of time. So adaptability, flexibility is going to be one of the keys to being able to uh work with a 5,000 pound gorilla.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, I'm Alec, and my question is, well, you spoke about how you have great relationships with your employees and members. That being said, have you faced difficulties laying off or firing those individuals because of that relationship with your employees and in some cases their parents?
Ooh, that's a
Um,
good question.
Good question. Yeah, I 2019 we came in the holiday season. I had just started. I started with 5 vans on the road in August. So I had September, October to get ready for peak. That's what we call peak season. And so I had about 100 employees come mid-November, first time. And after that, I was running. Amazon said they don't need me. They don't need 40 of my trucks. They only needed 22 of my trucks. So do the math, right? That's a lot of people. I didn't have anything that I could pivot to. I was still learning the business per se, right? I had to lay off like 50 something people and it hurt. It hurt, and it hurt because I kind of lied to them and I said that I made a commitment to them that I was going to put money on the table and I was going to make sure that I kept that going and I didn't. I spoke more than I should have at that particular time, right? We had just started the business. But now I'm able to um really structure the business ahead of time. So I'm aware of what Amazon is the expectation, right? So I use a ditty that it says prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So you got the 6 P's. You could do perfect prior planning prevents piss poor performance. So when you create a P&L, a profit and loss statement, right? So a P&L you need, it's gonna tell you everything that you're gonna put into the business, right? And then everything that's gonna be expenses in the business, right? So I look at the last 2 years where I was January, right? How many routes I lost, look at how strong Amazon was and what new avenues Amazon is trying to do. And then what I end up doing is I get to cut my weak links, the people that are just not Roman Empire culture. I'm able to really I I take the seasonal folks that are amazing and bring them on full time as a permanent. And then I get rid of the folks that don't deserve to be with us. And that's my balance. Um, it's not the best because it hurts but at the same time, I've never fired anybody. I've just allowed you to leave the company, and I just gave you the extra nod that it's time for you to go. Um, because it's the truth, right? Like I want every employee to stay with me. I care about the outcome. But if you don't care about your outcome yourself, there's nothing I can do to help you. And at some point, you gotta realize that you can't save everybody. And that's a tough lesson I had to learn. And people will take advantage of you. Remember this, people do two things: what you tell them to do and what you allow them to do. And they will absolutely do one of those two.
Thank you.
Welcome. And I did tell the parents that their son is not the best employee, and they need to bring him home and start over. I have done that.
That
I can't hear you.
mentioned that money is a priority or a motivator for you as an entrepreneur. So without financial gain as a measure, how do you define success for yourself, and how is that definition changed over time?
Something's wrong with the mic because I cannot hear him at all.
So that money is not a priority.
I think it's your audio. I don't think it's him. I think it's your audio. Somebody didn't pay their Wi-Fi bill.
What about now?
Good.
Okay, go ahead.
So you mentioned that money is not a priority or a motivator for you as an entrepreneur. So without financial gain as a measure, how do you define success for yourself, and how has that definition changed over time?
All right. So don't get it twisted. I said it doesn't define me. I did say I still need it. All right. So there's a difference. So you still got to give yourself that bottom line, right? You still got to give when you create that profit and loss statement, you still got to have that end stake, right? Because without having that plan in place, there's you're not going to win, right? Like you said, it doesn't make sense. But what I meant is being focused on your people and developing your people will drive them to create better processes and create better outcomes. So if I'm concentrating on the output that they putting, then we'll make that money. Because for instance, for us, it's all about quality metrics, right? So believe it or not, our drivers get scrutinized by you all. So when you see that you got a text message that your driver delivered, your Amazon driver delivered your package, if you give him a thumbs up, that's a great thing for him. But if he didn't deliver it in the right location, you said I needed it in the back door, that goes against him, right? So all those qualities and metrics that we need to maintain, if I concentrate just on metrics and I'm not working on antics, right? How is that person delivering? Why is this person doing this? Then the metrics are gonna never really be true metrics, right? But if I focus on the people and their growth and their understanding of the business and understand the metrics and how their mindset really triggers how that customer experience is going to be at the end, that changes it, right? Because now I'm not focused on the metrics, I'm focused on the person, and then I fix their behaviors, and then eventually they'll start thinking as a business person, right? And know that there's a cause to effect for whatever it is that they're doing within the business. That makes sense?
Yeah. Thank you.
Get a lady to come up after.
My name is Jaden, and my question is that in this field, how impactful is outside competition, and how can you set yourself apart?
So I'm building right now a business, a company in Puerto Rico and a company, logistics last mile, middle mile in Puerto Rico and in Miami. And outside competition is everything, right? So um, you got to first understand your platform, right? So whatever business it is. So for me, it's logistics, right? And then understand who are the players there. And then you do your research. Look to see how XXX company does things, how XXX, because they're missing something, right? There's something they're missing because customers wouldn't be looking for other avenues of delivery if they had everything in one out of one company. So you need to find out what is it that they're missing. So for instance, my competitor in Puerto Rico, they never delivered door to door in Puerto Rico because it's an American company. They didn't have any kind of Hispanics or anyone from Puerto Rico working within that company, right? So that's a fundamental issue, right? Like you don't have the right demographics working in the right demographics. So that's a problem that I'm able to solve. Thank you, Mr. Whoever on this hand, right? So I learned that. Then the next thing you're gonna do is figure out what's his gap. So his gap was he doesn't deliver door to door. So how much more would a customer buy if I deliver it door to door? Right? Because when you order from I use one of my customers, Shein, right? They from China. So when you order from Shein, it takes about 2 weeks to get to Puerto Rico. I mean, sometimes it even takes 2 weeks to get here in the States. So we cut that time and we deliver it in 3 days. So I have my own airplanes that we grab that delivery from. We bring them into Miami. We clear customs for them, right? We're controlling that pipeline. Then I'm able to output that to the send out the rest of Puerto Rico and then do the door-to-door service once it arrives to Puerto Rico. So you take your competition, see their strengths and see their weaknesses, and then capitalize on their weaknesses. And then literally it's almost like a drill, right? Keep drilling within those weaknesses, and you're gonna end up exploiting that, and you're gonna end up creating a new lane that nobody had. So in Puerto Rico, there was no last mile lane other than the US Postal Service, UPS, and FedEx, which is an astronomical price. Now, what I did is I partner up with the US Postal Service. I'll start off doing door to door in certain zip codes, and then I'll deliver it the rest of the US Postal Service so that I can grow accordingly, and I'm not taking on a whole island, which would cost me to fail. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's what use those folks, whether you're buying a video game, you look at what they're weak in, and then just start hammering that part and do that part better than anybody else. Because the rest is all the same.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Who's next? Who's next?
I think that's it.
Hi, my name is Noelle, and I was wondering, how do you avoid people taking advantage of your kindness and generosity?
That's have a wife like mine. Um, no, it's with time. It is. I mean, you got to really look at it. It's at some point you're gonna say enough is enough. Um, I've been taken advantage more times than none. But now that I guess the right answer is I guess lessons learned, right? Like you learn by it, and like now I'm in a realization that those people that come to my job that says I love this job and this is the best thing for me and they've only worked for me for 5 days, I guarantee you now that those people are not the ones that are gonna stay along. Like I've seen the time and time I've put in that extra effort and it's been a waste of time, or there's only certain things. I'm a big believer in I've helped people with their funeral arrangements, like paid for them. I just bought a plot for one of my drivers that they didn't have nothing. I take that as a loss, but then I won those people over if they're the right people. So the reality is that there's no real right answer because some people are gonna really be grateful for everything you do, and some people are not. You're just gonna have to figure out when is that right time. There's no real right or wrong answer. It's just how much BS you willing to take, and is that BS worth it from that individual? Is the output worth the input?
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't be better on that one, but I'm still figuring that one out.
Michael, how did you come across this business opportunity? Because it's very unique. And what made you decide that this was your next project?
Um, the Amazon one or the Puerto Rico one?
Amazon one.
Amazon one, like my wife said when we first started, I got played and I walked away. We did about $1.1 million in 11 months in my first business. And I sat here for 6.5 months with no money trying to figure out what was my next move. And my neighbor walked up to me and said Amazon was looking for contractors to be hired. And I just went out there, and if you looked at the world, Amazon was in every part of it, right? AWS, right? So they do web services, they do the Amazon fulfillment by Amazon, Amazon logistics, the whole 9 yards. And so I put my money on Amazon being able to grow this rapidly and astronomically. So we took a leap of faith. When their selection process first started, out of every 100,000 companies that went in, 0.1% got selected. So it wasn't very many at first. It was very, very, very strategic pick by Amazon. And Amazon did their thing. 5 years later, this program has blossomed. Me myself, I've delivered 1.4 million packages in the last 4.5 years. And I'm just one of 2,800. So it's really just doing the math and sometimes taking that risk of faith, not really knowing what the outcome is gonna be. Um, but at the same time is remember if the opportunities you miss are the ones you don't swing for. So if you don't take that shot, you're never gonna know. So my answer is take the shot, worry about the worries later, create a contingency plan, and always be ready for an exit strategy. Always be ready with an exit strategy. And that's what I learned from my first business. So doesn't matter how well you're doing, prepare prepare a segue to get out. Right? You just have either whether it's a succession plan or it's just an actual exit strategy, whether I sell the business and move on, always have that because you just never know. And that'll cut your risk in half.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, I'm Nadia.
My question is, did you have any role models throughout your careers that inspire you to be the person you are today? And did you share any similar values and experiences with them?
Role models. Not really. Everybody around me sucked. Um, that's the reality. I didn't have, again, I grew up in the streets. I've been working since the age of 12. And I guess the role models that I had was all the things not to do. Um, and I went with that. Um, and in business, nah, I really didn't have. I just honestly, as cliche it is, I pray to God and I talk to my grandmother. And my grandmother was more concerned about just me, and her answers never made sense to what I was asking. But it was a nice, warm answer. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's okay for you to be your own role model. It's okay for you to believe in yourself, and it's okay to take all the bads and goods from your parents, from your friends, or whatever that's around you, and make yourself better off of that. I don't think that there's someone that I can ever say that that was my person. My wife is my person now, but she's not my role model. She's just my right hand. So I say I'm my own role model. I make my path and I created it for myself. I don't know if that sounds cocky, but it's kind of is what it is.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yeah.
Hi, I'm Andrea. Have you faced any challenges when going into business with companies outside of America, specifically with companies from China and Puerto Rico?
Say that, repeat that question again, I'm sorry.
Have you faced any challenges when going into businesses with companies outside of America, like with Puerto Rico?
Yes. Yeah, so yes. China, um every number they give you isn't the number that's gonna actually gonna be the number they that's the output. So for instance, if I'm negotiating volume and they tell me I'm gonna have 3,000 packages a week, I narrow it down to about 1,000. They always they're very tight with their purses, so they try to show you this big volume, and if you're not aware of it, you get all the assets to work that volume, and then you give them a good price, and then they kind of have you standing there holding the bag, which is tough. How I overcome that is I don't go off of conversations anymore. I go off of written documentation. So I sent out a letter of intent, and they signed that letter of intent saying they guarantee at a minimum they're going to give me XXX, right? So that's working with China, Latin America, and then Puerto Rico. I'm Puerto Rican, and my people are slick, and they think that just because you don't live there, you don't know. So you have to go into these countries educating yourself on all the business aspects and creating contacts. So I went there for Hurricane Maria. So I created a lot of contacts there, business contacts, so I can leverage a lot of that business so that I don't get taken advantage of coming from the States. So excuse me, do your due diligence, have that information, and then create and find contacts wherever you're gonna go. That's the only way to protect yourself, because you don't know what you don't know until it's too late. And then remember, the laws are different everywhere, so you really gotta figure out who can you hire from there that can help you navigate those waters.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Are these good answers? Are you guys learning something from this? Does this make sense? You can say no.
No.
Hi, my name is Edgar, and my question is, according to Amazon's most recent quarterly earnings, it seems that their services on AWS make up the lion's share of their revenue. So how did you continue to market yourself to Amazon to keep them interested in your services?
Numbers, metrics. Amazon will it's all about performance with Amazon. So when you have a product or you have a business that depends on a customer, right? So when you do e-commerce, right, you got to have the best kind of marketing, right, to attract attention, right? But when Amazon is your customer, then it's all about data. So I have to maintain a high metric. So for them is the people, safety, right? And then did we fulfill our customer promise, right? So Amazon is heavy on customer centric. They are all about the customer. That's why it's easy to send returns. That's why they give you your money back. They don't care about that. Good note is Amazon makes $0 from the delivery. Amazon loses money from the last mile delivery. That is like a nice perk for us as customers that Amazon gives us. So they lose that revenue. They're in the red on that. But where they make up all of that is on their other services. So their web services, right? Things of that. So when you're thinking about a business plan, is there a line item in your business that you're willing to lose to gain more of that customer acquisition, right? So Amazon is willing to lose money on delivering and making sure they have the best delivery experience, but at the same time, they're making money with all the other products that'll cover for that. Make sense? So for me as a business, metrics, hit your wickets, be reliable, being dependable, and hitting your metrics. And in logistics world is staying, being safe.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Jake. Being a serial entrepreneur, what have you ever had a business fail and what motivated you to keep going?
Yeah, actually, my fulfillment business right now is failing. During COVID, I was up, and so two different things. There's a difference between your business, right? Your core business, and then there's a difference between passive income, right? So one of the things as an entrepreneur, you want to create more lines of revenue, right? Money coming in, but there's only one of me. So because there's one of me, I have to figure out other paths that I can invest money in that I can get money without putting in the work, right? So my Amazon store was doing very well during COVID. But now that the market has changed and now we're going, a lot of retails are opening back up, right? More stores are coming back out. And that clothing portion that I was doing isn't doing well. So I'm in a road of whether I'm gonna close it or just change merchandise. And then for me, at this particular point in my life, the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So I'm netting $30,000 a month. Is it worth putting in that amount of energy, work, and process to get $30,000 a month? Or can I close that and focus on another line of business, grow that one up, and make the difference there? Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
So that's how I'm doing it right now.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks. Alex, you can come. You have one more? Alex has another question.
Hey, I'm Alex. And my question to you is, if you could go back in time and what would you change as far as how you're running your businesses, knowing the knowledge you have now?
I would have started with my wife from the beginning and not have trusted a partner uh through the beginning of my journey. So one of the things that I did really wrong is that I trusted. My partner at the time was a Marine. We worked together. That was kind of like that band of brother kind of deal. One of the things that I will not give up at for no amount of money is my morals and my ethics. It ain't worth it. All you have is your word and your bond. And if you lose trust from people and you're just a snake, it's always gonna come back to you. Um, so that's one of those things is do your due diligence, don't trust, verify. That's the biggest thing. Don't trust and verify. So now I have a team of lawyers. I verify everything. I go to them, I give them it, and I verify it with them. Then I have a financial team. I give it to my financial team and I ask them to look it over and tell me, is it worth the dollars, right? So again, like Joanna said earlier, I hire people that are smarter than me so that I can make great decisions. So now I have these brainiacs that like to save money and they're stingy, right? And they tell me how to run my money and is it a good idea? And sometimes I trump them and sometimes I don't. But I verified their concern and I took a risk and made sure like that risk was something I was willing to take. Um, and but have that happy meeting. But again, don't have people that you're not gonna listen to. I just don't. I tend to not listen to them sometimes because they like really tight with their purse and they forget it's my money.
All right, thank you.
Welcome.
Anyone else? All right. I think that's it. Anything you want to close with, Denny?
No, so thank you for your time. I hope that I was able to bring some insight And reality is you guys could do, and ladies, you all can do whatever you want. Don't ever let nobody tell you that. Don't be afraid. Go out there. Life is tough as it is. So a little bit of toughness and adversity makes us stronger. And believe in yourself. If you look in your mirror every day, if you look behind and you see that bag of money, that's my every day that I go outside and do the best that I can do to secure that bag. I know it's kind of an oxymoron because I don't chase money, but that right there doesn't just define dollars and cents. It defines that I take care of my family, that I take care of my people every single day. So when I look in the mirror, did I do everything I could today to secure that bag? And if you do that for yourself, sky's the limit. You know, education is important, but experience is just as important. So you gotta have an edge against all your peers, and not everybody's willing to get experience. And be patient. You don't have to make $100,000 today. Um, I like to collect breadcrumbs, and then I make my own cake. So, and if you watch, I'll encourage you to watch War Dog. Watch that movie, and you'll know exactly what I meant by I take all the crumbs, I'll make my own cake. Let everybody else chase that cake. It ain't worth it. I start small and then big. Cool.
Cool,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. See.